Season's finally here.
Yeah.
How you guys feeling?
Pretty excited. You know, we've had a fun preseason. Went to Astoria, went camping, played Portland on Saturday night. Was able to play 24 different players, so that was nice. But overall, I would say the excitement's pretty high.
I know you've said before that the soccer IQ of this team is one of the strengths. What else do you think is going to be big for the Ducks this season?
You know, I think a little bit of experience. You know, we've got some great leaders in really pivotal roles for us, so with Hotla in the nets and with our center backs and just right down the spine with Sophia Chambers coming back. But, you know, just the youth also, I think, is going to provide some energy and just I think a lot of them are a little bit naive, and I think it's all going to hit them on Friday night. Well, what's really going to get started, but it should be a lot of fun to feed off their energy.
How do you like starting off against a team like North Carolina State?
It's a great test. I mean, they had a great season last year. Obviously, it's a team that I know a lot about. I played at NC State, so happy for them and their success, but can't wait to open up with an ACC opponent and really just set the season off on the right foot.
Kat, how much significance do you put on the tie with Portland?
You know, for us, it was just a really good opportunity to play 24 different players. And, you know, we played all three goalkeepers. We moved people around. We moved Rocky into the midfield. So for us, there was some areas that we definitely need to clean up. You know, set pieces offensively, defensively, a little bit of transitional moments for us I thought needed to get sharper. But the bright spots were really exciting.
Obviously not 24 players are going to play every single game, but do you think you're going to be able to play a lot of players this season? You have a lot of players coming back and a lot of newcomers as well.
That would be the goal, you know, to play as many as we can. I mean, I think a deep bench really helps you go far. You know, you look at some of the programs that have done really well successfully in the postseason. They do that with a deep bench. And for us to have some youth players come off the bench, you know, Mia Palmer did a great job. You know, we had Emma Eddy coming in as a local transfer. I thought she did a great job for us. And so Eden Hardy scoring the goal. So some of those freshmen are going to be needed to be able to perform and help us get into postseason.
What are some of the biggest areas your team needs to improve on from last year?
You know, for us, we gave up too many goals and set pieces last year, and if we can reduce that number and cut that in half, we're talking that we're going to be in the top half of the Pac12. And you know, our goal is to try to win the Pac12. You know, we've been talking about just getting into playoffs, but I think as a coaching staff, we've sat around and really watched the players that we're bringing in, watched our culture change, and we think we can win the whole thing. But in order to do that, we have to reduce the amount of set pieces that we're giving up and the goals that we're giving up on set pieces.
How do you make up for some of the people that graduated in the midfield, Marlo Sweatman and a couple others? How do you make up for their losses?
Well, we recruit some players in. We have Chardonnay Curran that came in, and she was a lot of fun to watch. That's someone that I think you should look out for. She's a Hawaiian, a lot of creativity, flair, a true 10, if you will. We've never had a really true 10. Marin Butler did a great job last year, so for us to bring in Char, I think it's going to be a great addition to our midfield.
How are your players reacting to the expectations that you're putting on this season?
I think they're embracing it. You know, I think this is something where they've sat around going, okay, you know, let's shoot for this. You know, if we shoot for, you know, top of the Pac-12 and a Pac-12 championship, we come in second. You look at USC, they came in second, they won a national championship this past year. That's how strong the Pac-12 is. If you can finish, obviously, in the top half, you're getting into the tournament. And then in the tournament, anything can happen.
When did that messaging start from you, trying to get them to embrace that?
Day one of preseason. Yep, day one of preseason. I think it's a message that we've been talking about. I think they've embraced it. You know, we've been talking about breakthrough as our motto this year, and to give a little, you know, backstory on that is a bamboo tree. We've all heard that message before, but it takes 5 years for a bamboo tree to break through the ground. This is our 5th season here. We've really done a good job of building the roots of our foundation, and those are all the players that we have. And you know, the girls are bought into what we're doing, and you can see it on the field because they're playing for each other. It's a new energy out there.
You touched on Marin graduating and the transfers coming in. And with those new players, how much are you going to be changing the schematic of things, how you approach the attack and how you defend it this year from maybe in years past?
Well, I think, you know, we flirted around with different formations. You know, we tried out a 3-5-2 this spring, and in China we played a 3-5-2. based on some of the wide players that we have with, Jazz Jackman coming in from Santa Clara. She's a winger and she can run. She's a horse. So we've definitely figured out or messed around, if you will, played around with different ways to press higher down the field, get more attacking numbers around the ball further down the field. But for the same principles, we're still going to try to build out of the back. But I think the one big thing that you're going to notice this year is just recognizing when we can go a little bit more direct, a little bit sooner, rather than trying to build, and really recognizing those moments in the game.
You mentioned the culture for this season and the realization during preseason, what's been going on. Do you have some sort of some knowledge about the attitude of this team, perhaps a little bit more swagger this season as opposed to the seasons prior?
I think so. You have Caitlin Wong, who's a returning fifth-year senior. You talk about swagger, talk about confidence. You talk to Caitlin, and you put Hotla in the net, and we've got 4 great captains with Miranda Schultz, Sophia Chambers, Caitlin Wong, and Hotla Hinrichsdotter. I think there's a really great balance with our leadership there, and they're confident. They know how we want to play. They know what the expectations are as an Oregon Duck soccer player. But I think in China we came together as a team, and it's been really fun for me to see how the upperclassmen has created this really safe environment for our freshmen and newcomers to be themselves. And when you see a team that's just welcoming and not judgmental and just really being there for each other, I think you're going to see some special things on the field.
You played Portland without pretty significant additions to the Canadian. Do you have her now, or where do you see her?
She's currently in camp, so Hannah Taylor's currently in camp with the U20s. So she'll be back Friday night, but unfortunately she won't be here for the NC State game. So the goal is to, see her play on Sunday. But you're right, we didn't have Hannah Taylor, we didn't have Sophia Chambers, we didn't have Jazz Jackman out there on the flank. So those are some key players that are going to be big players for us down the way. And Caitlin Wong was great. I mean, she was projected to be back for the Boise weekend, and in true Caitlin Wong style, she's back 2 weeks earlier. We were able to get about 20, 25 minutes out of her. So that was nice for our team to have that presence on the field.
You touched on Pac-12 and the depth of the Pac-12. Just give me a quick survey of the league that you're heading into, and who do you think is going to be a threat, and who are you going to sneak up on?
Well, we always say the Pac-12 is a conference of championships. I mean, every game is a championship game. We don't have a Pac-12 championship tournament at the end, so every point matters. We open up on the road down to Arizona, and that's a tough place to play in. And then you're on the road again with USC and UCLA. But as far as the Pac-12, there's not much that separates the top from the bottom. There's very little that separates the top from the bottom, and that's what makes our conference so special. USC graduated a lot of players. They're going to be young. I think Stanford has a pretty good class coming in. I think they're going to be at the top of the pack. Utah didn't graduate very many, and they had a great season last year. And we talked about that from our team. And going into the last weekend last year, Utah and Colorado were in conversations for winning the Pac-12 championships. And they don't have the Malpews of the world. They don't have the roster of a Stanford or UCLA. So that was a message that we told our team. It doesn't need to have this X, Y, and Z national players on your roster. It's about coming together as a team and fighting and believing in ourselves. So, but I think there's some good teams out there, and it should be an interesting year for the Pac-12.
So much last year was decided one goal, or a ball not going in early maybe for you. Do you feel like finishers are there this year for you?
I do. I'm excited to see what Emma Eddy can do. A local transfer coming back home. She showed a lot of great promise against the Portland game. You have a returning goal scorer with Kira Fawcett being a junior, and Bailey Bruner being a junior, and Marissa Everett being a junior. I thought Jess Yu, as a freshman, has had a really good preseason for us. She was a heck of a goal scorer in high school, and I thought that first year last year was not her best, and she was kind of figuring it out. She looks confident, so we're excited to see her on the field. And then, of course, Miranda Schultz does a really great job with us on the flank. So if we can get the supporting cast and get it in the right spot, I think we've got the finishers to put it away.
You talked about the depth of the Pac-12. What do you need to see out of your team in these non-conference games to know that they'll be ready for that schedule?
Well, I think we need to figure out how to win. I told them 2 things. We need to win the last 10 minutes of the game, right? You talk about 1-goal differences, and unfortunately those 1-goal differences tend to happen in the last 10 minutes of the game. So we need to be fitter. We need to be mentally tougher. We need to be more supportive in the last 10 minutes of the game. And we need to be focused. What's our game plan? How are we going to win the game? How are we going to finish the game? And the other thing was, you know, we've got 31 players on our team. You know, only 11 play. So we need to win the bench. You know, we need to look at the sideline. You guys need to see them being supportive and really being into it, because it's going to take all of us to be successful. And in the Pac-12, you put your blinders on, you focus on yourself. You know, you can't worry about what's going on outside. You can't worry about what team's doing what, because we all know it all comes down to the final weekend. And if we're in that hunt for that final weekend, that's all we can ask for.
You mentioned Jess playing pretty confident this preseason, amongst many other players who are playing pretty confident this season, producing as well. What is the key to that? Was there something that changed this preseason to prior that was different, or how did you find the confidence coming on?
Well, I think as a freshman, there's so much going on, right? Your head's spinning, you're away from home, you have a new environment, you're used to starting and playing every single minute to maybe coming off the bench. So there are a lot of things that question your confidence right off the bat when you come into a Pac-12 Division I program. And I think with Jess, she did a lot of work with Manny Martins off the field, a lot of film, a lot of individual sessions. She went home and played, got some confidence this past summer. Even though it was a short summer, she was able to play in a different environment, and you can see it. She's got some swagger to her. She's got her head up, her shoulders back. She scored in our inter-squad scrimmage, a great goal. So I'm excited to see what she can bring for us coming off the bench or even earning that starting position.
What was the biggest game going to China for you?
Gosh, China was an unbelievable experience. I didn't know what I was getting ourselves into, and kind of had a panic attack 2 days before we went. But we played 2 games. We grew as a team. There was a lot of adversity as far as getting off a plane, traveling 15 hours, getting everything from sleep deprivation to food, not sitting right. So I think the adversity and just really stepping on the field and having fun with each other, there were some good moments. We won the first game, tied the second game, had little rest. We went and experienced some brand new things, obviously the Forbidden City and the Great Wall of China. But their just cohesiveness as a group, as a coach, it was really fun to see them grow, right, and experience something that they've never experienced before. And I think that's part of college athletics. You want to see the young women grow and just develop into these awesome young women when they get into adults and carry on with their life. And so for us to be able to experience that was a really special experience for our coaching staff, just to see them grow and mature a little bit as young adults.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, guys.